It's not just using pronouns like you and I alone contribute to making a piece of a string of words into a conversation. Conversation has its own features. In fact, I should even say it's a kind of a grammar. It's a kind of a distinct grammar which governs your speech, very much different from the grammar that governs your writing. All your days in school and colleges, we have been taught only about the written grammar, the syntactical grammar or the structural related grammar. How should a sentence be constructed? How sentences should be linked to one another? So this kind of training we have been given when we were taught grammar in schools and colleges. When you in tutor comments, what we do is not giving a written language. It is writing a spoken language. Now that's the kind of an oxymoron. You write, but what you write has to turn out to be a speech. Now that's where the difficulty arises. You have to visualize the whole communication in the form of a speech, but that spoken form of communication has to be delivered in a written form. The crux of the whole issue lies in that. Now, unless somebody knows the grammar of speech, he won't be able to follow this. See, I can give you an example. The written form will have a full-fledged sentence. If it may start with a subject, it may be followed by a predicate or object or whatever it is. But when you speak, it is not governed by this kind of sentence structure. It is governed more by the thought content, the idea processing. You say something, then immediately I react to that idea. So it's governed more by an idea rather than by the structure of the sentence. So that's what I mean. Linguistically, we call it paratactic grammar as against syntactic grammar. And this paratactic grammar follows different norms, different rules, different procedures. The immediate concern would be the idea and linking your response to the idea expressed by the other person.
This takes to a very different turn of events, because the academic counselors in the distance education system are drawn from the conventional system, and therefore they probably need a different kind of training to handle the new kind of roles they would be performing. What specific areas and skills that you think the academic counselors should be trained?
So any training for that matter has two broad areas, because when you say training, you are dealing with a skill. Obviously, writing tutor comments is a skill. If you want to train people in this skill, then you have to first provide them the related information. The related knowledge has to be passed on. Passing on the information, transmitting the information can be done through a number of means, either by print material or other material. But transmitting or imparting skill is something totally different, which has to follow different process. And that too, when you are using a new medium, a new form of language, people have to get acquainted with this new form of language, and they have to become expert in the use of this kind of form of language. One basic thing would be providing them as many examples as possible of tutor comments, and tutor comments not in isolation but in the context, because every tutor comment that you give is related to a given context. So in context, examples have to be provided, and then the trainees will have to work through these samples, keeping in mind the overall context in which the comments have been given. So on the one side you have the medium, on the other side you have the context, on the third side you have the function, the pedagogical functions, which you are supposed to carry out using this medium given the context.
Given your experience in the field, and of course your own research on tutor comments and working with the academic counselors in that context, what kind of challenges you see the academic counselors face at one hand, and the other, the distance education system as a whole face the challenge to meet the effective learner support system?
I think I should say the greatest challenge for distance education is the number. On the one side, we say that the scale of economies allow us to deliver instruction to a large number of people with limited resources. But this large number cannot be expanded without any concern, without any restriction. Because for anything, there is a kind of a critical point. Beyond that critical point, the number becomes a hurdle. We have to identify the correct number up to which we can enjoy the benefits of the scale of economies to the maximum advantage, to the optimal level. We should restrict the number going beyond that. So that number, if restricted, then probably the other things like training, practicing, monitoring, all these things will become easy, will fall within the controllable, manageable limit. Now the problem we face now is that the number has grown somewhat unwieldy, somewhat unmanageable. Number not only in terms of the students, in terms of the programs that we offer, in terms of the courses we offer, in terms of the multiplicity of the assignments that we give, and then in terms of multiplicity of the tutors or the academic counselors that we have to train and handle. So all this complex multiplicity of number has turned the issue into a big problem, with the result effective monitoring has become a question.
The kind of task the academic counselors are expected to perform is looks like to be a kind of a stressful job. And from your experience, how do you see that the academic counselors react to the expectation of the Open University?
See, basically the question is one of commitment. I should say, happy to say that in spite of all hardships and other things, there are still teachers who are committed to the job. But these are very few in number. These few committed teachers take the job to their heart, and they try to do the maximum that's possible. But it is these teachers who are put to maximum stress. They want to do a good job, they want to give comments elaborately on the assignment responses, but they need more time to do this. They don't get enough time to do full justice to all the assignments they receive. But these people are very few in number, and they are outnumbered by the other group in such a large manner that the overall result is not that appreciable. Therefore, what we need to do is to develop a kind of a pressure group who turn into more and more committed people towards this job, who spend more of their time in delivering goods to the learners. That kind of, we need to take efforts towards developing this kind of a pressure group who can, people with similar mind, people with similar intention can join together and develop a kind of a model for others to follow.
What kind of strategies that you think that we should take to bring this large number of people to the mainstream of the distance education, so that the learner support system could be more effective? Apart from training is one of the strategy that we can do.
No, it's purely basically it's a question of conviction. More and more people need to be convinced that this system is going to stand. This system is going to be the order of the day, maybe after 5 years or 10 years, because we can't afford to be we can't have to have single mode institutions across the country for a long time to come. And now the students would be interested to remain confined to the institution, and nor can we afford to have more and more students for a longer period in our institutions. So maybe in another 5 years or 10 years we may have mostly dual mode institutions, or it's also possible that the electronic media may overtake this kind of face-to-face instruction. We have to gear up, we have to equip ourselves. When I say we, the entire teaching community has to gear up to meet that kind of eventuality. Now this has to be brought to the notice of the teaching community so that they also take interest, because it's a question of survival for them. If they don't get equipped to meet the developments that are likely to happen, which are around the corner, then they will be losing their job. They can't continue to work with yesterday's tool forever. They have to adopt the new tools which are coming up. So that kind of message has to be sent across to the teaching community, teaching fraternity, and then we have to tell them that this is not anything difficult. All that's required is a kind of a concern for the learner, concern for learning. In fact, I remember sometime back when I was in Port Blair, we were taken around the garden which was maintained by the state government there. A gardener took us around, and when we were about to leave, he gave us a few saplings. Then we had a question. Sir, these saplings have come up well here. maybe because of the climate and because of the surrounding here, will the same saplings have the same kind of growth when we take back to the mainland? The gardener said, don't worry sir, you don't have to do anything. All that's required is a little bit of water, a little bit of manure and plenty of concern. If you have that concern, these plants will grow. I think the same thing is needed for teachers. If they have concern for their learners, all other things will fall in place.
Right. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your views with you.
Okay.
We are
Thank you.
privileged. Thank you.